Hello everybody, welcome back to Cryptic Woodworks. So today I've got my prototype puzzle box in front of me, and I've had some people asking about some of the parts that went into this. Now I'm not going to spend too much time at this point going over the slide locks that are on top, but instead talking about the drawers that are underneath. So if I activate a button, boom, I get a nice drawer that shoots out, and the question that's come to me is how does that actually work? So I have the top loose right now. Pull that out, pull this away. Yeah, we can take a look at what's going on in here. So what we have, and let me get the button back again, is that normally this one will sit on top. So these springs are what pushes the drawer out, and this is what acts as the drawer catch to keep the drawer from popping out until it's depressed. This simply pushes it down. And we'll look at how a couple of these parts are made. So the first part is going to be this drawer catch. Now I have one loose. And let me see if I can get that free. There we go. So this is very simply just a little tiny hinge. And what I did was I cut out the back portion. So this is what acts as the drawer stop when it's pushed up. And underneath this, and let's see here, back in here, I have it out right now, but there would normally be a spring that sits in a little hole under there, and it will always force this into its pushed up position. So unless you actually depress it, which is when this pushes down, it will act and push that down, thereby this will drop below the surface, the drawer will be released. So the bottoms of the drawers, what I did was to create just a little bit of a grooved out section. Now you can do it this way, you could put metal plates in, or if you happen to have built a drawer where the bottom is inset into the sides and you have a little bit of an 1/8 inch lip around the bottom because it's lifted up slightly, that would also work as that minor gap in the back. So what we're going to do is see how we go about getting this made, these made, and these springs made. So the first thing you're going to need is a drawer bottom. I fortunately have several. And I have just cut one because I'm working on a new set of these boxes. And all I did was I cut my bottoms to fit. I laid out where my opening is going to go, and since I have a lot of these to make, I just made a quick template. This is simply 4 pieces of scrap put together. Got some double stick tape. I can stick this down on top, and then I can grab my handy dandy little trim router, and I have in here a pattern bit. So this is going to follow the inside edge of my template, and I have this set to be just a little bit lower than 1/4 of an inch. By little bit, you know, we're talking maybe a few thousandths of an inch, and that allows me to make sure that the catch, this catch, will sit just barely below the surface when it's active, so that nothing is actually going to be hitting this catch until it's actually either locked or released. So with this template, it's pretty easy for me to stick this down onto all the pieces, do the routing that I need to do, and I have several more of these to make, so I'm going to get that done, and we'll come back and we'll look at how to make those little catch hinge catches next. So I thought I'd jump in with a brief note that when you're routing and you're using templates like this, take advantage of it to square up your corners. So I've still got a little bit left in each of the corners. It's easily taken care of at this point. I can reference my chisel nice and square and just go ahead and chop them down, knock those right out. Really simple and easy. Before you take it off, just do that real quick. Okay, all of the cutouts are done, and I'm going to get ready to start making more of these little catch mechanisms. So this means we're going to have a couple of different things to do to it. So it's important when we're doing these, we want to lay out how we're going to make them. and I just use my existing one. It's about 2.5 inches long, 1 inch wide, and 1/4 inch thick. What I want to have happen is that this bottom, or this back section, which is just under 1 inch long. So this is what's going to get cut out to form this part of the catch. And I've laid out what I want to take off. Now I've also gone and laid out where the hinge is going to go. And what I want to have is a 1/2 inch in front, and then 1/4 inch for the hinge knuckle, so this means a 3/4 inch total. So that's what I have here. So this is my 1/2 inch, this is my center line, and then my 3/4 inch line. And then what we have to do is from our center line up on the edge, we're going to end up drilling a hole through, and that's where our hinge pin is going to go. Now, I'm just using some little 1/8 inch dowel. It works fine for something this small. But we do have to get this drilled pretty straight, so I'll do those on the drill press with a nice little clamping block to get those as straight as I can. And then finally, we need to lay out the order of our cuts. So we want to make sure we wind up with this nice knuckle pattern. So I've gone and given myself some reference lines. So I'm going to start here, go here, 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 and here. And I'll just do this on the jigsaw fret saw. It's really fast to do. So again, it's just make sure that I follow my arrows. And when I cut it free, the jigsaw blade will give me just a little bit of clearance. And then finally, when it's done, the last thing I do is I come back and just do a little bit of sanding around each of the edges so that it moves pretty freely. And we don't have to do a lot of sanding because this doesn't need to move that much. I mean, most of its travel is about this far, so you don't need to do a lot of sanding. So I've got 10 of these to do, so that's how we do them. I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we'll check in once I'm done.